watching Radio Free Cybertron. Transformers! For the latest Transformer news, reviews, and more, visit tformers.com.
This is Radio Free Cybertron, episode 357, recorded, April 2nd, 2014. We did not do an April Fool's episode this year. I am proud of myself. No. I hate April Fools. I used to love April Fools. But it's become, with the proliferation of the internet, everybody's on it. It's become such a big deal. Some people do a really good job. But for the most part, April Fools is just, it's played out. It's pretty well played out.
It's not funny when the joke is expected.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So my wife was in the hospital over April 1st, and I thought it would be a great idea that in front of her bed they have like, "Hi, my name is," and they give the nurse's name and today's date. I was like, how great would it be if you put that forward like 2 years and a couple days and just be like, "Just woke up from a coma."
Did they do that?
No.
I
wanted
a
to
wuss.
do it, but of course,
but
as soon as the idea popped into my head, I had to tell her.
You're such a wuss. You should have done that.
Are links turned on?
I don't know, Don. Yeah, I turn links on in the chat. On tfradio.net/live. It's our Ustream chat. You should go. Hey, so on the show this week, we have Melvar's back. Diecast, Don, and if you're watching video, you will not see Hey Mickey from Superhero Time.
I'm invisible.
He is invisible. Hey Mickey is on now. What we don't even know. We were trying to figure this out. Are you on like every other week now?
I think so.
That's awesome. So the next time you'll be on, XV may be on. It may be XV, John, Rob, and me. I think we're trying to figure out a rotation for that. So we'll see how that works out. Maybe John will actually be on for more than 3 minutes this time. Oh, I love you, John. You're awesome.
We miss you, John.
So, hey, this week I want to mention a couple of things. One, the Sharktacon Club was supposed to wrap up at the end of March. They have yet to meet their goal, so they are extending things out through April. If you want to learn more at how to help out Sharktacon, we call it both, which was like the best fan-run convention I've been to, hands down. Haven't been to TFCon yet, but will this year. Yes. But if you want to help out, go to sharktacon.com. That's CHARTICON.com. And you can learn more. Basically, it's kind of like a in-house Kickstarter that they're doing. There are perks for helping out. And, of course, you can help make Sharktacon happen. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Also, I want to send a thank you out to the Infinite Earths Collectibles news blog. They took off 24 hours, no posts, no updates at all this week, in memory of JD. So thank you guys. And thanks to everyone who's actually given over the last week to help out with JD's memorial fund. You can learn more or give if you so choose at tfradio.net/JD. Literally all you have to do is go sign up and give $1, give $3, whatever you can give if you so choose. JD died on February 12th now. That's like almost 2 months ago. Hard to believe. It really sucks. Last week we did, I was on the Superhero Time JD Memorial Show. That was great. If you didn't listen to that yet, go back and listen. XV did a really good job putting that together. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Let's see here. So before we get into the news, I want to mention this. So, I got a text from Don. Gosh, it was Thursday. It was a week ago. And he was like, "Brian, Hasbro Toy Shop has Rhinox in stock." Like, oh, awesome, Rhinox. Like, yeah, use this code. You'll get 20% off and free shipping. I'm like, holy crap, this is exactly what I needed. So on my phone, in the parking lot of 7-Eleven, I was hanging out with a friend and my wife. We were actually we met up at the parking lot for something, and while they were speaking, I was just going to Hasbro Toy Shop, and I was like clicking through the PayPal and got it done, and I texted Don back. I'm like, "Awesome, Don, thank you." And then I got my confirmation email, and I'm like, "I have Rhinox."
I didn't know you'd already bought him.
I'm like, I have Rhinox. I need Whirl. So I got it for 20% off, and it was free shipping. So it's going to sit in a closet for a while and then go up on eBay.
I'll be honest though, as beautiful as the figure looks in the box, it makes a nice display piece if you want to have one, a box version.
That's true. It's a great toy. When are we getting another Beast? I almost called it G1, another Beast Wars Rhinox. So,
and he's hard to find. It's not like he hit the stores at all.
Right.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
So
now there was a report he was showing up at Ross's, but I have yet to see any at the Ross's here or in Greensboro.
I need to go buy them all up then.
that's what I said would happen.
Phasing out toys.
What was that, Mickey?
The Ross's in my area is going to be phasing out toys. They keep shrinking it down. It's like down to about, I think, 6 feet now.
Well, it's just the out of season for them mostly.
Yeah, I was at Ross in Atlanta a few weeks ago when I was at Jolanta, and I was able to land that Pac-Man with the extendable tongue that I've been wanting so bad, and that toy is hideous and wonderful. It's now sitting on my desk at work. It's pretty great. More on Ross here, though, in a minute after we jump to This Week in History. So, This Week in History in the year 2000, in the future. 2000. To many of us, 2000 still. In the future. Car Robots premieres in Japan with the episode First Deployment Fire Convoy.
Yes.
That was a momentous occasion for a lot of people.
It was.
It was
Like
the first...
Don.
It was like me.
To me.
Not that I thought, Car Robots was this masterpiece, but it was the first time that a new Japanese series, which were common back then, because we'd had a string of them, and then a string of Japanese exclusive Beast Wars series that we never got over here. The first time that happened, what is like truly the internet age. So we were able to watch that stuff, at TF Extreme or wherever. That was like a completely new experience for a lot of people. Now, if you're one of the 95% of the people that don't have the hub, you can still watch Prime when it was still on, because somebody would rip it and code it and throw it up on the internet. That didn't happen before. We got that with Beast Machines, but Beast Machines aired here. Just there was a disparity in the time that it took for, Canada aired it before it was aired in the U.S., so we saw lots of episodes on, in that postage stamp size screen. But, that whole Japanese thing was really cool. And was Car Robots the last Japanese exclusive TV series that we got? I think it was.
Other than like Transformers Go that's currently running or whatever.
Is that an actual series on TV, or is that like a web-based thing? I can't even remember.
I thought it was included with some of the toys, but maybe.
Well, there you go. But so back then we had several over the course of. It seems like it was a long period of time, but now it was only like 10, 11 years between Headmasters, Master Force Victory, Beast Wars 2nd, Beast Wars Neo, and then Car Robots. So from like 1987, 88 to 2000, we had like 6 or 7 TV series that were exclusive to Japan. And Car Robots was the first one that happened where you could actually watch it like the next day online. That was cool. That was really cool.
And we actually had an Optimus Prime back again with actual vehicles.
Oh yeah, and that was got to keep in mind the only vehicles we had at that point in recent memory were from Beast Machines, and those were.
It's just too bad he got such a terrible toy.
Yes, that is such a crappy toy. But back then we didn't know any better.
Bullshit.
It's not a bad toy.
It's an awesome toy.
I'm happy when
I have 5 versions of that. It's a fine toy.
The best version is the Spy Changer.
Time out, Brian.
Yeah,
and then you got the titanium version too, and that's actually one of the better titaniums.
I never got that one, thankfully. But yeah, so Car Robots, and again, it was the return to vehicles in the sense of like really robots in disguise, because they were modern-ish, actually really modern vehicles. I'm looking at my Super Wild Ride right now, and except for being a rally car, you could see that on the street.
Wasn't Machine Wars the return to vehicles?
But,
Machine Wars wasn't a full blown series. It was like a side.
The toy lines.
No. It was not. It wasn't a full blown toy line. It was like as a sub thing that they did at KB.
Yeah.
That was like, well, how many waves did that end up even being? One? Two?
It was 2 waves.
Yeah, I mean, Car Robots was like legitimately a brand new toy line with a TV series attached to it.
And God help me, did I overpay on? Because I never thought we would get them in the U.S. So I thought I will pay $70 for that Optimus Prime.
So I was thinking for a second that there was even like a one issue comic, but that was the one that came with the Optimus Prime and Primal and Megatron 2-pack from Beast Wars. So like other than the tech specs, there was no fiction for Machine Wars.
Well, yeah, Machine Wars. Yeah. Dreamwave did do a story in one of their. You could vote for a Beast Wars, which would have been a Beast Wars series, or a Car Robot series. I voted for Car Robots, but it got crushed by like 89 to 11% in favor of the Beast Wars series.
Yeah. And that was the right call. Don't get me wrong. I likes me some Car Robot. I mean, pardon me. I'll back up. I likes me some Robots in Disguise because Saban did a great job with that dub. But it's still nothing compared to Beast Wars.
Oh no!
But Skybite, possibly the greatest Transformer ever. Possibly. So first up in the news, Transformers 4, Age of Extinction, Voyager Prime, and Grimlock found at retail in Canada.
Now, isn't this super early? Because aren't they not supposed to be out till like next month?
I've seen it happen before. Stuff like this happens. Also, it's Canada, and also, who knows? Don would know how advanced Walmart might get some of these big major releases. Don's grinning a little bit. Maybe Don's store has these already, and he can't say.
No, I'm planning someone's demise in the chat.
How
are you doing?
So, one, that's cool. I really want that Grimlock. I seriously do. But two, this is April. I still haven't found Whirl yet. All of these Generations Legends figures haven't hit retail yet. So, will they ever?
No!
So that's why I pre-ordered all of mine.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're going to show up at Ross in like a year.
Yeah.
So if you want these toys, if you haven't found Whirl yet, if you haven't found Rhinox yet, if you haven't found the last wave of the Generations Deluxes yet, if you want the Generations Legends figures, order them. You're never going to find them at retail, most likely. If history is any indicator. This bothers me a lot.
I remember watching RFC back when Dark of the Moon was coming out. And there were a bunch of awesome Generations figures we were getting before the movie. And everyone's like, no, we're going to get these figures. We're going to get these figures. No, the Dark of the Moon figures came out. And the Generations figures, which we wanted to get, disappeared completely. So Brian is definitely telling the truth. Get these figures if you can. Don't wait for them to show up at the store.
Yes.
Because they're probably not going to.
Yeah. So I'm halfway through my disgusting muscle monster right now. It's actually getting better. FYI, sorry. Yeah, so this really concerns me because I need Whirl, like, badly. I haven't found Whirl yet. I didn't pre-order it for some stupid reason. When I had the opportunity to get it from HTS, I didn't do so. I did get the second Rhinox that I didn't need. But it's actually the third Rhinox that I bought because I bought two the first time. One for me and one for Triplet. But with that being said, yeah, thankfully I have pre-ordered everything else. But I think if it's possible that the next wave of Generations are going to coexist at retail with the movie stuff, but I can't be sure, and I don't trust it to actually happen.
Well, it's going to skip waves is what's going to happen. You'll get that generation's wave of movie figures, but it's going to skip over those generation wave of non-movie figures.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see here. So, Diecast put this next one in the show notes. Black Knight Grimlock, Battle Command Optimus Prime. These are new Takara Tomy Transformers Age of Extinction listings. So basically, we just got a listing of items that are going to be available from Takara. Do we know anything else about these toys?
We know that the Grimlock is going to be like a movie accurate coloring, which, God, I want that over here. I don't want to have to buy the import because that Grimlock that you saw with the orange on it and everything, I don't really like that one. I mean, it's not what I see in the movie, and it's not what I want to have on my shelf. So I really hope we get these in the States too.
Probably won't. But it's possible.
Like Hey Mickey said, we'll probably get the G1 coloring. I mean, which they're already doing with the Evasion Prime. That's G1 coloring because he's not that color in the movie. So I don't know. I just like that we would get the movie accurate coloring in the U.S. even with Evasion Prime.
I will say when I read that article header and then show notes, I thought that was Black Light Grimlock, and I thought that'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of awesome.
That or Black Lightning Grimlock, it would be a DC crossover. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, have we ever? So we had. Gosh, I'm actually thinking that's a good thing, Don. A good question. G.I. Joe, we had some color changing toys like Eco Warriors, Zartan, etc. Have we ever had any like color changing stuff as far as Transformers go?
The G2 watercolor GoBots.
Okay.
The color changers, and one of them was GoBots.
Yeah, and not counting like rub signs and stuff. But have we ever had any black light toys or any toys that
not intentional?
Yeah, but
and no glow in the dark ever. I don't think.
Well, actually, yes. I believe on the Optimus Prime, that was the Walmart exclusive. That was the deluxe or the Voyager class movie Prime that came with the recolored.
Oh, that's
figure.
Right.
The stars and the moon on the windshield, I believe, were glow in the dark.
Oh, that's cool. Don, that must have hurt to pull that one out.
You could tell it was coming from all the way in the back.
It's forced to remember the Dark of the Moon Voyager Optimus mold, which that's never pleasant.
It makes sense to have a glow in the dark figure in the Dark of the Moon line. Otherwise, you couldn't find it.
That's crazy, Don. So next up in the news, so this one kind of broke the internet, I think, because I saw this everywhere. Right now, the big game is Titanfall, which is an Xbox One / I guess at this point, Xbox 360 and PC exclusive. Basically, yesterday it was announced that there's an Optimus Prime skin available for the game. And everybody knows what yesterday was. April Fool's. So everyone jumped to the conclusion that this was an April Fool's joke. And then people said, no, it was not. It's confirmed. But to be completely honest, I don't know.
The video got pulled down.
I honestly am not sure. I think it. I don't know. The skin to me looks kind of funny anyway, but I'm not saying it can't be true. I kind of want the game anyway, but I'm not like it. This doesn't affect that one way or the other. But this got a lot of attention from a lot of people. And people are saying that it's real. So, but I hate the internet. I hate Watch Dogs, Infamous update, Optimus Prime Titanfall. Looking at IGN right now, and I'm not seeing anything that says it's
this
not.
war has been devastating.
Well, let's see here.
Let's just search YouTube, see if anyone's posting any videos of using it.
Yeah, Like, that couldn't be fixed.
I was just confused because on T-Formers, you actually click on the video and it's enslaved our people. Taken down.
Yeah, it says it was pulled down. And IGN is showing me a trailer for, 47 Ronin. I'm like, no, thank you. So, I don't know. I don't really care. But, man, did that get a lot of play. Yeah, now they're saying that it was April Fool's. It's a pretty elaborate April Fool's joke.
Yeah. Yep. It was funny, too. I mean, yeah, Optimus Prime throwing a little guy in his chest just like Titanfall does, and then you saw it from, Prime's chest with the windows and the wipers and everything. It was done really nice.
And this is my problem with April Fool's. It's overdone. And if it's not funny, and if it's not like, if there's not like one, you're supposed to fool people. But if you just end up pissing people off because it's not true, it's kind of a bad April Fool.
Well, one of the nice things about the Optimus Prime Titanfall thing is it ties into the whole Age of Extinction thing of Optimus murdering the hell out of a bunch of humans.
Yes! That's exactly right.
Which is exactly the Optimus we've always wanted.
I guess the reason being that this probably definitely not true is because Transformers is an Activision license and Titanfall is an EA game. So.
Yep.
Yay.
I think that the video got taken down shows something too. I'm sure
it's still up on IGN's website, and it says that it was dropping on 4/1/14. So, and it didn't happen. So I guess it definitely is a fake. But it's not a good one. It's not a good April Fool's because it just sort of leaves me wondering, okay, what?
Didn't Hasbro announce on April Fool's several years ago they were doing a reissue Dinobots or something along those lines?
I don't remember.
Or maybe
the best April Fool's joke ever. On 4/1, I think it was 2004, Google announced Gmail. 1 gigabyte of free email storage in the cloud. Everybody said, haha, no effing way. What do you use for email, guys?
Gmail.
It was funny because it was true. It's like on Alt Toys Transformers one year. I announced that I was this major troll at the time. I really was, and of course nobody believed me.
Yes, past tense.
Yeah.
We believe that.
Yeah. Now people then didn't. But I don't know. It's a really good fake. They went to a lot of effort to put it together, but it ended up confusing more people than making people, laugh. Google does a really good job. The YouTube video this year for how Google was shooting and developing all these memes for the upcoming year. Like, gosh, it was hilarious. Go check it out. Like, I Kissed My Dad. Basically, it was people surprising their dad and like kissing him on the cheek, and how that was supposed to be like the big upcoming meme for 2014. It was pretty hilarious.
I thought Google was doing something with Pokemon in their maps.
So that was Google. That was Google proper, but YouTube almost always does their own.
I gotcha.
Don't all of Google's little subgroups do their own?
I'm sure. Man, I'm a little disappointed that this Optimus Prime thing isn't legit, but I mean, it is Optimus Prime killing people mercilessly, but we've seen the movies. Yeah. This happens.
Yeah, he licensed himself out because he was out of faces.
I need more faces, so I need money to get me more faces.
Well, there's a void of Decepticons now, so he's just going to transition over.
Yeah, that's true. So, I'm not going to get into that. We'll save that for later. That'll just piss too many people off. So, let's see here. Third-party news? Is that the last thing in the regular news this week?
Yep, pretty much.
Yep. So this is big news, I think. The KFC EAVI metal line gets its first figure, and it's Citizen Stag, which I love that name.
I love the name.
That is a great name.
Which is the Not Ultra Magnus figure. He's available for pre-order, and he's $185. Why do I think that's good? Because the Masterpiece figure that we're getting is $250.
Well, yeah.
And I have to say, I like the looks of this figure. It's a little plain. I think you said the same thing, Brian.
Yeah.
But Magnus is really not known for flashy.
He's not a flashy character.
No.
But it's nice looking. It's not... I don't think it's perfect. It doesn't scream, oh my god, this is the ultimate version of Ultra Magnus.
Right.
But I don't really see the Masterpiece version being that much better. And it's $65, less than the current pre-order. I'm pretty satisfied with this. I don't know how big this is. Do we have anything for scale showing how...
Yes, there's a photo of him with his hand wrapped around the waist. It's pretty large.
That is... Yeah, there it is. That's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
I'd like this a lot better if it was a smaller scale to fit in with Generations figures.
That would be more of the commander armor, city commander armor, if you wanted.
I know, but I would like this at that scale.
But I think that's a very nice figure. It's simple, it's clean, and apparently it's all one unit. It does not break down into armor. It's all kind of like, I'm guessing, like the titanium. I've never opened my titanium one, but it looks like it's all...
You're better off.
That's what I've been told. Because my titanium Magnus looks great in the box, and I've been told that's the best way to enjoy it, is in the box.
As with all titaniums.
So animated just going back to the last news item, or one before last, animated plastic is like, for all the stoners who have black lights, Brian. I'm not a stoner. I have black lights because they're awesome. So continue about KFC Ultra Magnus.
Yeah.
I think I'll wait for the Hasbro version.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not going to buy both?
I am going to do the same.
Yeah, I'm...
Not taking anything away from this. This looks really, really nice.
The Hasbro version that we're never going to get.
There's something off about this. No, we'll get the Hasbro version.
It's just, I'm just not sure that Magnus is going, the Takara Ultra Magnus is going to be worth the extra money, because it's still Ultra Magnus, and you still have to stick to a similar aesthetic to be that character. Unless it's just going to be a different way of getting an MP10 if you didn't get one.
Ultra Magnus, to me, is supposed to be a white Optimus Prime in battle armor.
Yeah.
I kind of like it him being an all-combined unit.
Okay, that goes back to the question. Is Masterpiece like the ultimate version of the toy, the ultimate version of the character, or a combination of the two?
Yes.
I think it's a combination of the two.
There's no middle ground here, I don't think. You're either an all-in-one piece, or it's it's an Optimus Prime with a battle armor, unless it's a cab that doesn't look like Optimus Prime. And that would just piss people off.
No, I think Masterpiece is just a super expensive, very detailed, very complicated representation of the character. It doesn't have to be beholden to either toy or character.
It doesn't have to be beholden to them, but it's going to incorporate aspects of both. Otherwise, you could have a Masterpiece Optimus Prime that just looks like, a version of Optimus Prime that might as well be like the next version, like when we got, Galaxy Force Optimus Prime. Is it Optimus Prime? Yeah. Is it, the Armada Prime? No. Is it G1 Prime? No. It's just the next design for Optimus Prime. It has to, it has to be an homage to something. It just can't be like, oh, he's clearly the character, but it looks, not very remotely like anything we've gotten before.
Oh, right, but here in the case of Ultra Magnus, we're arguing whether it should be dude in armor or just the character, like he was in, say, the cartoon or the comics or whatever. And it really doesn't matter one way or the other which way you go, because a Masterpiece could fill like either of those two roles and do this job.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you have to balance it out, and I don't know really. I think they're going to have to do the armor deal. I think they have to.
I will say, for an all-in-one unit, the lack of back kibble, they were able to get the cab pretty condensed down on the back. And that's great. That back kibble is a lot less obtrusive than I thought it would be.
And it worries me that, hey, we're not seeing the vehicle mode here.
Yeah, looking at this, I'm wondering how this thing transforms.
Oh crap! I thought we saw the vehicle mode, but no.
We saw a render of a vehicle mode at one point.
Well,
what is this car carrier going to look like?
Yeah. I mean, I'm more worried about not necessarily the car carrier, because we see all the pieces for that in its legs and the arms, but how is the cab going to interact with the car carrier? That's why I'm a big fan of, if it's a separate piece, because a real car carrier is not attached like this. The car carrier is a separate piece from the cab.
Yeah.
So I'm good with having a cab and then the actual car carrier become armor for the cab. I think that's actually the perfect situation for Masterpiece. For a Masterpiece.
Now, on the side of the box, there is a picture of the vehicle mode, and I know that's just another render, but does that help any? The third picture does have a shot of the side of the box. And
if it can turn and tilt, I'll be okay with it. If it's a solid piece like the titanium, where the cab doesn't turn from the carrier, I'm going to be disappointed. Not really disappointed. I mean, I'm probably not going to get this figure anyway. I'm going to wait for,
They could be doing something like Dark of the Moon Megatron, where it's connected but still jointed.
Does it have a hood? I like Dark of the Moon Megatron's hood. Never mind. Sorry, I derailed that.
His hood?
He had the cape, cowl.
Oh, the cloak.
Cloak, yeah.
You said hood. I think like a truck hood.
I know.
Like part of a car.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He had a hood. It was awesome. I loved it. That made that toy in character.
I'm curious as to how well the armor is going to work for a Masterpiece size figure for the Hasbro version. Typically, the larger you go, I hope it stays on well, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
I'm kind of worried about KFC too. I mean, they've been doing a lot of tapes, and they still can't really seem to get the tapes right. It seems like every tape they do, there's a problem with it. So how is a big figure like this going to hold up?
They're putting out a lot of different stuff all at the same time too. So
I definitely think this will be one of the ones most folks will be waiting for reviews on. But I'm also afraid if the reviews are good, you're going to find these things vanishing fairly quickly because of the price difference compared to what Masterpiece Magnus might be bringing.
So
I think that's going to happen a lot lately with the third-party figures. I mean, if you get a good review on it, they're going to start going. I mean, that's what happened with Quake Wave. I mean, they did a couple waves of Quake Wave.
And the two twins for the Revolver series.
I think we'd mentioned. Yes. I think we'd questioned size a few minutes ago in the chat. Starscream 8474 suggested checking out Cyber Geeks Alliance Facebook page, and it does show it in scale with MP10. And I mean, if it's going to be, I guess it's going to be basically in scale with MP10. Because, of course, he's Optimus Prime with added bits. So, if you want to see it, it's right here. So, we'll see. I mean, oops. So, that's what it looks like. Not really surprised by that. That's about what I would expect. But, I'm still iffy on it.
Well, the thing for me is Ultra Magnus is like Shockwave. I like the characters, but my G1 Magnus is fine. My G1 Shockwave was fine, and I have City Commander. I just have no great must upgrade, must get the newest version for those characters.
I can see that. Not that Ultra Magnus is a fantastic toy, but it's good enough.
I loved my Ultra Magnus when I was a kid, so I don't know, but
I remember the commercial they were showing around when the movie came out, and they had Peter Cullen doing the voiceover work for the Ultra Magnus commercial, and Peter Cullen said, "And he transforms into my powerful Autobot commander," and I'm thinking, What? Is Prime stepping down? Is this Magnus guy taking over?
Can't do spoilers. Can't do spoilers. No spoilers.
For a 30-year-old movie, okay.
Well, it wasn't 30 years old then.
28-year-old movie.
Yeah, almost. It'll be 28, in July?
Oh my
I think.
God.
I did not see it when it first aired, thankfully.
I did. I was in theaters opening weekend.
I was in college, says Don. I was in college. No.
My dad took me and my brother to see it, and he was devastated by Prime dying. Me and my brother were glad because we both hated Prime. We thought it was boring.
Moving on.
I saw it on HBO, and I cried my eyes out. Now I just kind of hate it. Kind of hate it. Sorry. Hey, so let's go ahead and jump to Q&A with Rob Springer. Rob was awesome this week. Rob was going on basically no sleep, and he actually had to be up for work like 3 hours after recording this. So mad props to Rob and Don. Mad props to Don Rob. But after that, we'll come back. We're actually going to have a topic this week. We haven't had one in a while, so we're going to have a discussion on something. And we'll tell you what that is here in just a couple of minutes.
You boys a bit bored? Snap into it! Snap into a Slim Jim!
Hey guys, it's Rob. And this week's question comes from World 96. I just got noticed that I get the whirl, but 96. I really hope they weren't born in 96 because I graduated in 96, and that's old. Anyway, Whirl goes on to ask, hey Rob, what's the deal with crayons going to Toys R Us exclusively? I was wondering, why don't they sell them everywhere? Thanks, Whirl 96. Well, Whirl, thanks for your question. Basically, Toys R Us bought exclusive license. That's pretty much it. Toys R Us, being a specialty retailer, likes having exclusive toy lines. Creo is a big enough brand to bring in people to Toys R Us. Now, Walmart only carries currently Cityville Creo. And I gave up on carrying the other brands. I don't know, they stopped carrying them after, the initial ones didn't really sell so well, but according to Hasbro, they sold great. So, but for some reason, Walmart gave up selling them, especially after the Star Trek ones and Battleship ones didn't sell so well. And, looked like they sold pretty well everywhere else. And Walmart even started selling them again, but just the Cityville ones, which I can't tell you if they sold or not. A lot of them are clearance now, so who knows. But basically, and Hasbro markets Creo as one of their top brands. So basically, it was a big enough deal for Toys R Us to chase an exclusive deal with. So they have exclusivity of this. Now, they already were exclusive for like the G.I. Joe stuff. And, they're making more of those. Like on the third series of figures. Obviously, the Battleship didn't sell so well. And I guess Creo, the Cityville Creo is not, which is weird because those are pretty neat little toys. But basically that's it. And with the new movie coming out, the new Transformers movie coming out, and them having all these whiz-bang cool sets, basically they're a retailer to have an exclusive toy line, that ties in with this hot new movie coming out. And let's just face it, brick toys are really in right now. So it's kind of a win-win for Toys R Us. Now for us as fans who buy Creo, it's also a win-win. But maybe a win-lose because, Walgreens has like those great sales with their card. Like right now they're $2 each. Stuff like that. My cat is playing with something. I was like, what is that, a ghost? But, they have such things like that. And Target, everyone knows if something sits on Target shelves for like 2 weeks, they clearance it just to get new stock in. So Toys R Us, it might cost a little more. But Toys R Us also has lots of good sales, like BOGO sales and stuff. And if you get that Toys R Us rewards card, it's free. And you can get stuff like all these great deals with it. Like, I'm constantly getting store credit and all that just for shopping like I normally do. So, you know, it might be plus plus. Not to mention, you know where to go to get it. I mean, go to Walgreens, Target, Toys R Us, see if this one's got Walgreens. Do they got Seaville or Transformers? You know, it's one or the other, never both. And like Target, they might have some combiners, and they might have a set of wet baggies out, a bag of blind bags, stuff like that. But never, it's random. But Toys R Us always manages to have a really good selection of them. So basically, like, I'm looking for the new Creo. We'll hit up all the Toys R Us's in your town. You know, it's just that simple. So while, yeah, it might cost more, and yeah, some people really have a problem with Toys R Us. I don't. But for the most part, I don't see anything wrong with it. So your options are buying from Toys R Us, either online or physical retail, or pay too much on eBay from scalpers, or that's not fair. A lot of people sell them afterwards. Maybe help you find stuff and all that. And that's that. So hey, thanks. I'm really tired. I'm working an odd split shift this week, and it's kind of knocked me out, so I'm a little out of it. But hey, guys, thanks for your questions, and please keep sending them in. Rob@tfradio.net, or just tfradio. Check out tfradio.net for all of our social networks, and you can send me questions there. And please check out my blog, roborobspringer.tumblr.com. See what I'm up to, and you can even submit the question to me there. Just specify it's for RFC, so that way I know. So hey, thanks for. I'm going to bed. It's late and I'm tired, and I gotta be up in like 4 hours. So thanks for your questions, and please send them in. Right on. Awesome. Yeah, and World 96. I hope you graduated the same year as me. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.
You can hear our show on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, or Palm phones. On demand and on the go. Don't have Stitcher? Download it for free today at Stitcher.com or in the app stores. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
We are back. So, sort of an interesting / touchy / I almost want to say retread topic this week.
Evergreen topic.
It is, yeah, it's evergreen. I know we've talked about it before in passing, but pretty much this is a completely different crew of RFC, except for me, than we had 3 or 4 years ago. So I honestly think probably the most vibrant Transformers fan community online is it's close to being the Transformers Addicts Facebook page. Lots and lots of people posts are there constantly, and what I like about it, it's like at T-Formers and AllSpark and all of these sites, it's where like the Transformers experts get together and talk about stuff. Transformers Addicts is like where the everyman Transformers fan goes to talk about stuff. People haven't been around for forever. Not all of them. Obviously there are people like Ben Yee who's there, Rob Springer, me, people who have been around the block. But it's also a lot of people, because Facebook is very accessible, a lot of people who don't necessarily have the same experiences. So it's a lot of times it's people posting pictures. Hey, what is this? Or, hey, I think it would be great if we did this. And somebody will respond, well, we did that. Hasbro did that twice already. But I think it's interesting. It's just a really interesting experience reading it. But there was a thread on there this week that really, I don't even remember what started it. But it wound up being, hey, why doesn't Hasbro, with their next Transformer series, just continue G1? And I've been on the internet for a long time. And people have been asking that for as long as I've been on the internet, or longer. And the long and the short of it is, they're not really going to. But the thought was, one, why? And two, why can't it be like, this mature whatever? I mean, Hasbro did it with G.I. Joe Resolute. Does anyone remember G.I. Joe Resolute?
Yes.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I loved it. Of course, I don't really respect G.I. Joe much either, but I thought it was great.
I hate G.I. Joe Resolute. Now, don't get me wrong. The G.I. Joe comic was not the cartoon. Characters died all the time. Was it hyper-violent? No. Was G.I. Joe Resolute hyper-violent? No. But it was just... Resolute was just bad. But a lot of people put it up on a pedestal for some reason. Because Warren Ellis wrote it or something. But it was just really bad. But, with that being said, Hasbro did sign off on an animated continuation of Generation 1. We've had comic, continuation sort of G1, but not cartoons. And I guess people are wondering why. And are we all in agreement that it's not going to happen?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
For a number of reasons.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put this one out here first, and it's going to piss some people off, and I'm sorry. I love G.I. Joe. God, I love G.I. Joe. I love G.I. Joe so much. But G.I. Joe's dead. And when Resolute came out, it was really close to being dead. Yeah, there was at least one movie to come out after that, maybe two. But the movies didn't do anything to help out G.I. Joe.
No.
And Hasbro was really trying to figure out how can we revive this brand. Transformers, on the other hand, is a thriving, successful brand. And they have lots of money and lots of time, lots of intellectual property, a lot of heart, a lot of soul dedicated to the new, universe, the line continuity / all of these other brands and properties. And I really think they would have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel to ever try to go back to G1 because nobody cares. Nobody who, for the most, I can't say nobody cares. The people they're trying to sell to, for the most part, they don't really want G1 back. But guys, tell me, one, why I'm wrong. If I am, I'm not. But tell me why you think.
Okay.
Mickey.
Well, for starters, the best way to sell product to children is to make it new and accessible as often as possible, as evidenced by how many times Spider-Man gets rebooted in the cartoons, or how it's done every year with Power Rangers. They've learned it's easier to bring in a new, fresh batch of kids with a new set of characters, new storylines, starting over from scratch all the time. Bringing continuity from 20 years ago, that's really not going to win kids over.
Yeah.
That's going to please us, but it just makes it a much harder sell to a new batch of product-consuming youngsters.
Yeah, because basically with Power Rangers, every year you can jump in at the beginning and you're not lost because
there's a fresh batch of 5-year-olds every year.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean you can't continue G1. I mean, you could make G1 accessible. I mean, the comic does it. You can make a new series, make it follow G1, make it start basically from scratch. Hey, you have a bunch of Transformers that are running around, but they're not going to do that.
Okay, well, my view is Transformers is a toy commercial. That's all there is. The whole reason Transformers existed in the first place, G1, was because they had all of these toys already. All they had to do was repaint them and rename them.
Yes. Some of them they didn't even repaint.
Yeah, there are so many characters that already had toys that Hasbro is not going to produce that many new toys for that many characters all at once.
On that, it's also really hard to do a whole lot of characters in computer animation.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive to make models. Yeah, And people just don't really do cell animation anymore. It happens occasionally,
They
but
can do
more and more,
Flash.
it's just...
I mean, seriously. I mean, no joke. If they wanted to throw something out there, they could, I'm not saying they're going to, but, something low cost, low level of effort, throw a few voice actors on it that, don't spend a lot of money on it. You don't have to bring back all the surviving cast. But the people who want this want that. But do it in Flash. It could be done. It could be done pretty cheap. They're just not going to, because there's no return on investment. None.
Well, I think with two things. One, like you were saying, like every year is a new batch of 5-year-olds. Say, Mickey, that's what Brave was doing back in the 90s. That's why none of the Brave series is interconnected, because every year is a brand new story, brand new batch of toys, brand new focus. Then you move on to the next thing. So they've already been doing that forever, as it is. But I think with Transformers, people expect things to be different, because change is part of the whole mythos. The figures change, and people expect these characters to evolve and look different. With G.I. Joe, you don't expect Flint to be suddenly wearing Dago Orange and Eco Warriors. It's makes no sense. But I mean, if Optimus Prime gets a new body in a new series, you're used to that because they're robots. They change their appearance.
I think G.I. Joe is the best cautionary tale for why they can't do this, because with the exception of the movies, for the most part, G.I. Joe for the last 25 years has been retreads. They did different things like Spy Troops and stuff like that, but still.
What about Sigma 6? That was sort of a departure, wasn't it?
But they still called back to the classic designs or whatever. The figures were different. And there were new characters too, but Cobra Commander looked like Cobra Commander, pretty much. I mean, to the best of my recollection on Sigma 6 anyway. I was looking at some Sigma 6 figures recently. I never really got into it, but G.I. Joe has almost been constantly a real American hero for 30 years. And it's dead. It's DEAD, dead. They killed it. It's gone. It's done. There's nobody supporting it at Hasbro anymore.
The design team has been split up to other projects.
Why would you want to do that? Transformers cost so much more. Or maybe not so much more, but it costs so much to invest time and effort into a toy line and cartoon. They want to make money. They want to sell these things. It's not going to happen. People should be very happy with the comics, but there's a small minority of people who aren't, which is okay. You expect that. But that's as good as it's ever going to get. That's better than any series that we're ever going to get again, most likely. I would just be happy with what we have.
Well, plus one thing, Brian, and now this is, I don't mean this sounding condescending or bad, but G.I. Joe, they look great, you can pose them, but they really don't do anything. And again, I don't mean that, because I've got a few G.I. Joes myself, like the Matt Tracker one, and he looks great, posed. But with Transformers, you can play with them, you can pose them, you can change them. You can do a little bit more with the intrinsic build of the toy. With G.I. Joe and normal action figures, they really just don't do anything but stand there and look awesome. And after a while, that gets a little old. But, I could take Red Alert and transform him and put him over here on this, and he can be side by side with Sideswiper. I can put him in a robot mode. And
Ninja Turtles, I mean, other than a couple of gimmicks here and there, they just stand there and look awesome, but they're doing pretty well. But they're compelling.
Unlike G.I. Joe, they have a cartoon to support them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Turtles was dead for a while, too. So, I mean, this has kind of been the revival, and, now there's going to be a movie associated with it, and, so there are things that are going on in Turtles that was actually similar to Transformers. I mean, for a lot of ways, Transformers kind of died down. It
died down very briefly in the 90s. Very briefly.
Well, Turtles, though, has probably changed the least out of any of the major brands, though.
Right.
It's basically...
And it's still going strong.
But I think with G.I. Joe, Hasbro is going to have to put money in there and significantly make it a presence again, because it's going to take money they don't want to spend.
I think part of it is that kids aren't so hot on war toys anymore now that war is not a fantastic impossibility when Daddy's going off to Afghanistan.
Kids like war toys. I don't think they don't like them as much as they did in the 80s when it was, but it's, we're all still pretty much America, hell yeah, still today.
But in general, G.I. Joe is, I don't think G.I. Joe is not really the concern, though. It's ultimately how G.I. Joe is the shining beacon of an example as to why G1, animation-wise, toy line-wise, I think Hasbro's doing a great job giving us all these classic characters in the Generation subline, but I don't see us ever getting Transformers G1 fiction again, because it would be such a huge level of effort to put that out, to develop that, to source, all of the talent to develop the TV series, and then to put out the toys. It's never going to happen. Never, ever.
And plus, the fans would never be happy with it. They would
because it wouldn't be their G1.
Apart. Yeah.
So thank you. So what's G1? What's G1? Is G1 pre-Transformers the movie? Is it seasons 1 and season 2? Does it continue after season 3?
Is it the cartoons or the comics?
I say 1 to 4. Seasons 1 to 4 is G1 to me.
So after Rebirth.
Yeah.
For me,
I think G1 all the way up through Beast Machines, because it's all the same continuity, more or less. I know that's more of an extreme view than most people like.
Well,
but
yeah. And, I mean, the Beast Wars takes in examples of the comic and takes whatever it wants.
To me, everything pre-Generation 2 is all Generation 1, as far as the toy and the cartoon goes.
So exactly. So what's going to happen if we had a new toy line or a cartoon that took into consideration cartoon and comic, and took the best elements of each where it could, and did build a synthesis of the two? That's going to piss people off because it's not exactly what they wanted. If they start a new series and it takes into consideration, it's funny. A lot of the people who love seasons 1 and seasons 2 also love Transformers the movie, but they hate season 3.
Season 3.
Which makes no sense to me.
Love season 3.
Season 3, it's the best season. That's my opinion, and it is. But Transformers the movie undoes or eliminates so much of the good stuff about seasons 1 and 2. Just mercilessly kills all these characters off. I don't know. I posed the question this week on that Facebook page. Well, why did they have to kill all these characters off in a kids' cartoon, like violently?
Wheeljack and Windcharger weren't even important enough to get killed off on screen.
I know, it's ridiculous. But I think this wasn't on the Transformers Addicts. I think this was actually on the Shardicon Facebook page, now that I think of it. So go check that out. But with that being said, how do you take into consideration seasons 1 and season 2, which a lot of people just want to continue from season 2, and Transformers the movie, which they also love? They want to redo season 3 and Rebirth. I mean, if you continue G1 and you didn't continue with Rebirth, that would piss me off.
Well, for me, just saying with G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe needs a Justice League Unlimited level of commitment to achieve, because it has the characters, it just needs that kind of level. Because I think everyone can agree Justice League Unlimited is one of the strongest traditional animated shows in the past 10 to 15 years. So for Joe, that's what they need to get back on the board.
I was going to say, to answer Brian's question on how do you continue with season 2 after the movie, is just bring a couple Junkions back and be like, here, fix the rest of our friends. You fix all the original characters, and there you go. Start off from there. I mean, that would be an easy way to explain how you're starting off, after the movie and continuing season 2 with all the characters.
Corpses got blown up in a mausoleum, though.
Which they undid. They undid the end of Dark Awakening anyway, with Optimus Prime getting blown to bits. So, I mean, But no, I agree with you. Actually, that's Diecast. That's a really good point, because they could just quintessence that stuff up and bring most of those characters back, ignoring the fact that they were destroyed in that nova.
Well, the thing of it is, if they want Generation 1 to continue, the most obvious place to continue it is at the end of Season 2, with Bot being the final episode of the season, which to me and then telling the story. It's the same thing as what Clone Wars does. Clone Wars is telling the story between 2 and 3.
Yes.
So if they pick up at the end of Bot, and their concluding point being the movie,
they have 20 years to play with.
Exactly. So that way you would still have your Generation 1 continuation. You fill in a gap where anything is possible.
And you just have to fudge the time a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do it, and it won't.
You can include the Season 3 characters that you love, with the exception of Galvatron.
They had to be. They had to be introduced somewhere.
I mean, actually, with the exception of the Sweeps, Cyclonus, Galvatron, the Junkions, and pretty much any character that was introduced, like in 5 Faces of Darkness or after, Wheelie, or any characters transformed in the movie or after. But yeah, I mean, that would work, but that would piss me off because I want Season 3.
Yeah, but you could have an episode in the Neo G1, if you want to call it Neo G1, where they have an episode on Kranix and Arbalest's planet. You could see the Lithonians in an episode,
and kids would love that. Exactly why this isn't going to work.
I mean, you know what's going to happen. It's kind of like, I asked my dad and mom and dad a long time ago, and this is relevant. Had they gone to see Titanic? It was the big movie. It was supposed to be this grand epic. And I just asked them, is that something we could go see? And my dad replied with something that I'll never forget. He says, why? The boat still sinks. And it's like, we know how these characters are going to end in the movie. But the story that they're telling between the end of Season 2 and the movie still needs to be told.
Yeah. There you go, Don.
But it never will be.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul just pointed out that Dreamwave put the Sweeps in their pre-movie comic. God, I hate Dreamwave so much.
Plus, I mean, other than G1, we know what Brian would really like is them to continue the Energon series.
If we got Energon level toys, sure.
Well, Energon was better than the cartoon, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the toys are great. I loved Energon. If we could get brand new Unicron Trilogy level toys, that aesthetic, those, like, that little creativity, I would be all about it. Now, I mean, not all toys are great from that line. Like Blur was Energon, right? Or Cybertron?
Cybertron.
Yeah, God, Cybertron, awful toy. But yeah. I would say that we would be more likely to get a continuation of Beast Wars, but we're not getting that either. Because I think that would probably sell. But we are getting a continuation of Prime. Why? Because that kind of makes sense. With the exception that nobody really saw it. And
now Bumblebee talks, so yeah. we're good there.
And he sounds like Unstoppable.
Yeah, he sure does.
I prefer to think he sounds like Batman Beyond, but...
Yeah. The only thing I'm hoping for is, everyone knows what I'm hoping for with the new Prime series. The kids
are not coming back.
I know, but I can still hope. I want to hope and pray up until.
Do we know that for sure?
Theirs.
I think they ran their course in the show. I mean, they're not useful anymore.
Well, they weren't in Predacon.
They weren't useful to begin with.
They were not in Predacon Rising. That's true. But there's really no room for them in Predacon Rising.
Well, right. Again, like I said, not even mentioning their names is kind of a issue I have with that. But that's just me, and I'm weird.
Yep. Anything else in respect to why we're not getting a Neo G1 TV series.
I have a question with G1.
Okay.
I've been rewatching a lot of the originals, most of which I forgot. That blonde chick that keeps hanging out with Spike, is that Daniel's mom?
That's Carly.
Yeah.
That's Daniel's mom.
They carried her over, but not Chip Chase and not Sparkplug.
Not Sparkplug.
Well, we can probably guess what happened to Sparkplug in the 20-year interim.
Yeah, heart attack. He's eating a pastrami sandwich. He was happy.
Okay. Here's another reason we're not getting another G1 cartoon. The purpose of the cartoon is to sell the toys. We're already buying the Generations toys without a cartoon. Has doesn't need money on the cartoon.
That's a good one.
That's an excellent point.
That's an excellent point.
Unless they bring over the masterpieces at a lower price point to sell more, and they want to have something out there to get people's attention for these toys, like these are the new Alternators.
They're not doing a new series around it unless
but
it's something Flash-based. I mean, unless it's something the level that they can put it on a DVD and sell it with a toy, they're not going to do it. Because there's all sorts of TV licensing deals and whatever. But you know what? When you're talking about selling the Masterpiece toys at a lower price, the fact that these toys are as complex but smaller than all of those Binaltech and, God, what was it called over here?
Alternators.
God, why did I forget that? I could see these selling for $30 or less.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but if they're Toys R Us exclusives, they're not going to be.
That's true.
Also, the high price and exclusivity of them makes them more desirable.
That's true.
They'll start out at $29.99, then they'll go up from there.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, they'll start at $30, and then people buy them, and then they'll be $50.
Yeah. That's why the Dragon Dagger is now $100.
OMG. So I want to remind everyone out there, if you haven't already, just take a couple minutes and leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever podcast aggregator that you use. That would help us out so much. Thank you to everybody that's done that. But I know that we have lots and lots of listeners. We have lots of listeners. But we don't have that many reviews, darn it. So just take a couple minutes. Leave us a couple. Leave us a review. It'll really help us out, get the word out even farther. Just let people know if you like the show, or if you don't, go leave a review. We would appreciate that. And tell a friend. Obviously, I'm sensitive to this thing because, I've been podcasting stuff now for way too long. But there's a podcast that I really like. I try to tell somebody. So hell, a couple of podcasts I'm listening to right now. I really like the Laser Time podcast. I started listening to that because I heard about it on Retronauts. And I really like Retronauts. It's a retro game podcast. But Laser Time, I think all of you would love it. They go back and just talk about crazy crap from like the 80s and 90s. There's an episode about 900 numbers. I don't know. It's kind of like Cracked.com, the podcast. They'll come up with basically what would be a top 5 or 6 list on Cracked and do a podcast on it. It's really entertaining. The people, they're just fun to listen to. Another podcast I've been listening to, I also learned about on Retronauts, which is Watch Out for Fireballs, which is a video game podcast. Typically a video game podcast. They did an episode recently on Dungeons and Dragons, which I liked quite a bit. But they take sort of a thoughtful exploration of, the game, the experience of playing it, the history around it. It's really good. And it doesn't seem to get a lot of traction out there as much as it deserves. So just go to Google and search for Watch Out for Fireballs or Laser Time podcast, and I think you'll enjoy them. So pass it on. Guys, anything else going on this week? Guess not. Melvar is not on the internet. Diecast is at Diecast2. Don is at HMRC4EVR.
What does that mean?
Headmaster RC Forever.
Oh, okay.
And Hey Mickey is Cyloning.
Robotic.
He's at Hey Mickey.
He's at Battlestar at Galactica.com.
Yeah. Just search /fiction and you'll find Hey Mickey.
Okay.
Sorry. And actually, don't forget to check out Superhero Time at tokupodcast.com. Hey Mickey is on that every week, and he is the star of that show.
It's the internet's most offensive podcast about children's programming.
I love that show, especially when I'm on, which has been like 3 times. Those are my 3 favorite episodes. But Toku Podcast.
Then you haven't heard enough.
Yeah, I know. So for the guys, I'm your host, Brian Kilby. Find us at TF Radio on Twitter, at facebook.com/TF Radio on Facebook, and tfradio.net. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.
This has been Radio Free Cybertron. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at TF Radio for news and updates. Watch our live stream at tfradio.net/live. Join our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/TF Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TF Radio Network. Have a question or comment? Leave it on our Facebook fan page or mail it to contact@tfradio.net. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons license. Any part of this podcast can and should be redistributed, but please, proper attribution is required if you know what's good for you. Radio Free Cybertron, the original Transformers internet radio show since 1999. 100% girlfriend free since 1999.